How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of a Playmakers View. I'm your host, as always, Jamie Burdish. I appreciate you guys joining the show. Today I have Shawn Armstrong joining the show. Shawn is a relief pitcher in the Baltimore Orioles organization. He has played pretty well in the 2020 season. I'm going to talk to him a little bit about that, with everything going on with coronavirus. But he's had himself also a pretty successful career, and I want to talk to him about, where he came from and how he ended up with the Baltimore Orioles, all that good stuff. So you guys are going to get a chance to learn about him, who he is, how he goes about the everyday life of being an MLB baseball player. And like I said, as always, guys, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Shawn. He's a great guy. So hope you guys get a chance to learn a lot about him and, get a little bit of motivation from an actual professional ball player. So without further ado, we can kick things off, and here we go. All right, guys, so like I said, I have Shawn Armstrong joining the podcast. Thank you, Shawn, for joining the show. First off, I want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do right now.
I mean, cool. Thanks for having me to start off with, man. I really appreciate it. My name's Shawn Armstrong, and I'm currently a right-handed pitcher with the Baltimore Orioles. I pitch out of the bullpen with them. A little bit about me. I grew up in New Bern, North Carolina. I went to West Craven High School and graduated and ended up going to East Carolina High School. I was actually supposed to be drafted out of high school and ended up tearing my labrum my last game of my high school career. Probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Really learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about the game, what it takes to be a everyday player like I want to be. But I spent 3 years there at East Carolina, and then was drafted in 2011 by the Cleveland Indians. Played with them for 6 seasons, debuted with them in 2015. Got traded over to Seattle, played a little bit with them up in the big leagues, and then ended up getting designated and then traded to Baltimore, and I've been there for the past 2 seasons. And other than that, I just, I train the amateur athletes and everything in the off season here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live with my wife now. And we're expecting a baby come April, so we're excited about that. And but yeah, man, like I said, I'm just excited to be on your podcast. And
Yeah, so first off, congratulations on the baby to come. I wanted to talk to you first off about that experience, getting drafted and your road to making it to the big leagues. We all dream as young athletes to make it to the professional level. So what kind of ups and downs did you go through in that process? I'm assuming it was probably a dream come true for you to actually sign for a professional team. So yeah, I just want to ask you a little bit about that experience going through the minors and making that debut.
yeah, man. So honestly, the draft was a crazy process. I turned down offers in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 9th, 10th, and then got drafted by the Indians in the 18th round. And I just turned it down just because I was a 20-year-old. I still had a lot of leverage. I'd only played really 2 full seasons after missing, my freshman year with labrum surgery and everything. And they actually ended up calling me, the deadline at the time was August 22nd. And I was moved into my college apartment, had my books, signed up for classes. Like I was going back to school. And they ended up offering me, it was like 11:48 p.m. with 12 minutes, left till the deadline. Called my parents like 20 times, no answer. Called my head coach like 20 times, no answer. Finally called my pitching coach and we talked, and I ended up, accepting the offer at 11:58 with 2 minutes to go. I didn't even get a chance to tell my parents until the next day whenever they woke up. So that was a really crazy part to start off. Then first season in the minor leagues, I got moved to a permanent bullpen role. Ended up making it to Double-A for my first year. Started in Low-A, went to High-A, went to Double-A, and then the next year ended up getting hurt and missing 14 weeks. And spent that whole year in Double-A, and then went to Triple-A at the end of the following year, and then bounced up and down between the big leagues between 15, 16, 17. Then traded over, like I said, to Seattle, and actually got DFA'd there as well, and ended up playing in AAA over there and made it back to the big leagues, and then I've been in the big leagues ever since. So it's been a pretty crazy roller coaster, man. I got optioned 21 times when I was with Cleveland, so I've kind of been through it all when it comes to that, but it just makes you respect the game, and it just, if any message I can give to anybody about professional baseball is you better love it. It's a job, on and off the field, and there's a lot of things that go into it, and it's not just it is a game. But it's something you gotta love and really pursue.
Yeah, that was my next question. I wanted to ask you about, how you got into the game and why you love playing the game of baseball. Was it someone that really inspired you, or did you, from a young age, just fall in love after playing it? Because, like you said, playing at the professional level, I hear all these stories about minor league baseball players having a tough time because they don't get paid all that much money, and it's a tough business. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about where your love for the game has come from and why you continue to play the game of baseball.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, honestly, to be honest, when I was a kid, hated baseball, didn't want to play. I was a big time soccer, big time basketball player. Soccer was my number one thing, coming up as a kid. And once he was my soccer coach, he was my basketball coach. Then he asked me to play t-ball, so he was going to be my coach for all three. He's like, just play, And I can just remember, honestly, I almost remember that conversation. I was like, no, I don't want to. Just play, just try, And ended up loving it, falling in love for it. And I just found myself as I got older. I used to buy these plastic bats from the dollar store. My dad would buy them for me, and I would literally wrap them up with duct tape or electrical tape, whatever he had in the toolbox, and I would just take it, from him, and I'd always hear about that afterwards, of course, because he'd go out there looking for it, and it's around the plastic bat, and I'd just throw up rocks and just hit them into the pond that we had, right beside it's a huge pond next to our house. And and that's just something I kind of remember as a memory. I always fell in love with that, and just the whole speed of the game, and it was really huge wiffle ball, tennis ball back growing up that we used to go to all these little side fields and play. And I played everything. I played football, basketball, baseball, and soccer all the way up until high school. And then when I got to high school, I dropped everything besides baseball and did baseball and cross country. And it's just something that I really loved. I loved being able to pitch. I loved being able to play the outfield. I loved being able to hit, do a little bit of everything. There was no offense, defense, there was, but you know what I mean? I enjoyed playing every position, coming up. And my goal in life was to be a mechanical engineer and go do the 2x2 program and go work on base, where I grew up from. And then somebody asked me to go play on a travel team my junior year of high school, a big time travel team, and or sophomore year, and that's when I committed. That's when everything started taking off with the scouts and everything. But yeah, man, it's just it's ever since I can remember, I played sports, but baseball was truly always my number one love after I started playing it.
Yeah. So, do you ever have regrets of maybe wanting to still go to that two-way position, or are you thankful for you making that decision? And whoever reached out to you and said, "Hey, join this team," are you thankful for those kind of people in your life?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, the travel team that I played on was the Bayside Yankees, and they were a very, very good team at the time. And he told me, he's like, "You're going to be a PO only." And I was fine with that because I was going to play on that type of caliber team. He still let me get some ABs and all that kind of stuff, and and Coach Godwin, Billy Godwin, who was at East Carolina at the time, who's at UNC Greensboro now, he was actually going to, give me the opportunity to play two-way going into ECU. And then when I had labrum surgery going into college, that, put that to where, hey, I'm going to pitch only. I dropped the bat. And for me, it was the best decision I've ever made. And there's some kids that can play two-way, but I also train a lot of kids that play two-way now. And I have a few that are, freshmen that have already dropped the bat and they're PO only. One got offered 90% tonight from Wake Forest University. So it's happening really fast with, younger kids and that level. And that's just where the game's changing. But yeah, I mean, it definitely benefited me to just go pitcher only.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is that change of the game. 2020 has been an extremely crazy year. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about how that went for you, not just playing in the 2020 coronavirus season, but preparing for it. I'm sure that at first you didn't know if there would be a season. So I want to hear about the ways you prepared for the season, and it looks like you had a pretty successful 2020. So just explain how that all went for you.
Man, for sure. I mean, we made a pretty significant mechanical adjustment for me this past winter. And, it kind of changed my career on timing, being efficient and all that kind of stuff. And then, I was actually on the way down to the Twins facility in spring training, and my pitching coach called and he said, "Hey, turn around. The game's canceled. We have a meeting in, X amount of time." I'll have a meeting, and literally they come in and say, "Hey, doors are closed. You can come in and throw, play catch, tomorrow, whatever you want to do, and we'll kind of have answers for you." And then it was just like, "Hey, the facility's closed in general." So we were, like as a team, we were more just pitchers. We were meeting up at local high schools in Florida and just playing catch, throwing bullpens together. Our catchers were there, our bullpen catchers were there. And then we got shut down altogether. And, like when it kind of had a pretty bad outbreak, so we all went our separate ways. Some guys were throwing in blankets in garages, like, out in, because they had no throwing pointers. Some guys were literally throwing live BPs to a target with their wife standing in the batter's box to prepare. Everybody was doing different things. And I was really fortunate to where we had 3 or 4 pitchers at the Performance Academy in Apex, North Carolina. And we had a good group of high school, college, professional guys that were hitters. And, we had TrackMan, all that kind of stuff. So we were able to, do live ABs, do bullpens, get our work in. And so, we were very fortunate in that. But as far as, the 2020 season, man, it was crazy. We got tested for corona every 48 hours. I can't say enough about the Orioles and every other staff, facility that we went to this year. They did everything that you could think of to keep the players safe. It was just, I can't even go into detail about everything, the way they did it to make it work. And they made it comfortable for us and they made us feel safe. And then, after about a week or 2 in, and we started seeing all the negative tests consistently, we just got to play baseball. We kind of got to relax a little bit. The no fans thing it was wild. They would pump crowd noise in, but it's nothing like, a normal stadium. Like when you go to Toronto and there's, 35,000 people there and the ground's shaking underneath you and, stuff like that. It's just, you can never, replace that. You can never replace what it's like to have fans. And I think it made players really, reflect on that and not take that for granted for years to come. But at the end of the day as well, man, it's like I tell other people all the time, it's a difference whenever you're scrimmaging with crowd noise and it's like, man, this is kind of brutal. But when the New York Yankees or Boston Red Sox step in the box and your numbers are for real, it's like you win or you go home. You have success when you put food on the table or you go back down. That's what it is. It's a business. So at the end of the day, when it comes to that, you see the playoffs, they're great games. It's still win or go home. That's when the athlete comes out in you, the competitor comes out in you, and the true spirit that you are on the field. So, it was different, and I think I speak for all of us when I say that we are ready to have fans in the stands come 2021. But for what it was worth and what we did, the MLB and all teams did an unbelievable job, dude. It was I can't say enough.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching baseball this year, and the postseason is very exciting. I was kind of nervous that there wouldn't even be a season, so I am glad that they got those things figured out. And speaking of the future, I did want to ask you a little bit about what your plans are, your goals and aspirations for the future. I'm not exactly sure what you got left on your contract with the Orioles, but what is that looking like for you? What are your goals and hopes for the upcoming years with the MLB, and not just in the MLB? Obviously, you've got the newborn on the way. So, what kind of things are you looking forward to? Some plans that you may have for the future, and all that good stuff. So, what does the future kind of look like for Shawn Armstrong?
This will be my first year arbitration. So I actually get to go, above league minimum, negotiate a contract. It'll be my first year to get there, and as long as I have a job, I don't really care where I play. Obviously, that's the nature of the game. As long as you have a job, guys, you're gonna play. But at the end of the day, I would love to be in Baltimore. I would love to still be there. I love the coaching staff and the things they're doing. As a rebuild and being hurt this year for 3 weeks and seeing some guys in the minor league system, they got some dudes down there. They're gonna be good. Next year and the years to come. So, I hope I'm back there, but I'm gonna play this game as long as possible. I feel good. I just turned 30 this year, and I'm ready to keep going. But I think after baseball, I'm not really sure where I'll be. I really love the amateur side of the game. I really love the instruction part, the teaching part, the development part. But I don't think that I could predominantly pure development because I'm going to miss the competitor atmosphere of a game. So, like, am I saying, like, you know, I would love to coach somewhere. I don't know that I don't know if I could coach in the professional atmosphere unless it was at a top tier level. And that just doesn't happen. You don't get those jobs right out of the gate. Like, I know how the system works. But, you know, if I could be at a, you know, D1 university somewhere, I would love that. But I also really love the fact of working with guys like I work with now. And I know I can be busy. As busy as I wanted to be, you know, working at that level. But like I said, the competition level is going to be where, you know, I'm going to really miss. So we'll have to see where that comes, but it'll definitely be to do with baseball somewhere at some level and trying to, you know, create better players and teach young men to be good men as well.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I appreciate, once again, you coming on the show. It's been an honor talking with you. You know, get that experience and learning from an MLB player like yourself. I hope that the viewers listening right now and watching this podcast have got the opportunity to not only learn about you, but take away something from this podcast and use it in their own daily life. I think it's really cool how you want to impact others. You know, you're coaching those younger athletes and allowing them to get to the next level. And also, like you said, it's not just about playing the game, but becoming better men and all that good stuff. So with that, I want to thank you all for joining the podcast and watching Shawn Armstrong tell his story. And as always, guys, I hope you're doing well out there. We'll be back with you guys next week for another episode of A Playmaker's View.